Hey guys, it's Fusion What Ifs here, and today I'm gonna be doing what if Asta was Satoru Gojo's Reincarnation Part 2. Yes, those come out 2 days ago, but my parents kept on calling me to do chores and all that, so it couldn't come out. But yeah, I'm sorry I've made this one. As a result, the first person who watches this, or the first two people who comment it, like the first people who watch this have the right, or in the first two comments, get to pick what ifs I'm going to be doing next, okay? They have to be existing what ifs on my channel. So yeah. Also, it can be from discontinued series, right? So you can't tell me to make like a what if also had the Flash's powers, because that's discontinued. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all. And yeah, kind of sick. Not really. Someone in my school had coronavirus. Not sure if I got it or not. But yeah, who knows? That's all I can really say right now. Without further ado, play my intro. Now that's done, let's get straight into it. We start off with... That's off there? Yeah, that's great. So we start off with, directly after Asta has finally gotten gotten his Black Bulls uniform, and now his headband officially has the Black Bull symbol on it. So technically, while this is happening, Magma's like, okay, that's straight around the base. And then, he starts explaining everything, like, the mess hall, the bathhouse, the girls, the room section, which is filled with a bunch of traps. Then he's gonna explain something else, but then, this is when they come across a girl with silver hair. And then, and then I should stop saying, god damn. Someone commented about that, saying I should stop saying, because, it sounds too much like, like the person. So yeah, I must try to stop saying that. So yeah. Then Asta is like, no, Magna is like, oh, this is the other rookie. She got in the same year you did. And then, Asta was like, oh, really now? And then 69 is like, Asta Gojo, nice to meet you. And then, Noelle tries to, being the stuck up brat she is, tries to slap his hand away. But, Infinity. So, yeah. Yeah, Infinity does activate, sorry. So, Infinity does activate. And then after that, she kind of just pulls her hand away. She's a bit confused. And then she's like, I'm part of this country's line of royalty. And then, Asta's like, and the reason I care is why. And then, oh my shit, I'm still saying, then Noelle was like, huh? I'm royalty. How dare you talk to me in this way? Some shit like that. And then, Noelle's like, oh my shit, stop saying fucking, But, okay. Then Noelle's like, since I need to show you your place, right? Then, she starts to charge up a magic water blast, or a magic blast. And this goes, instead of hitting Asta, it just takes a direct left and hits Magma. Or, her left, right? And then, shit, I'm still saying, I'm gonna fix that. But, it's kind of hard seeing as, it's like my regular speech language. Because, it's like a verbal tick and all that. You guys don't know, a verb tick is like, something that you say usually when you're like nervous or something like that. So it's usually in your sentences. So yeah, it hits Magnum, and then Magnum's like, you little bitch, what the hell did you do that for? And then Noelle's like, who said you can stand there? And then Magnum is like, you're so fucking lucky, right? The only reason you're here is because of Yami's good graces. This kind of pisses Noelle off, right? So, she takes off her Black Bull's robe and she's like, I'm not a Black Bull anymore. And, she's like, I hate this order. And then she just leaves. Asta being confused is like, well, that was some. Oh shit, I'm still saying, fuck it. Sorry, the person commented, I should stop saying, it's still gonna happen, but, yeah, sorry. So, yeah, I'm saying it again. Well, okay. Magnum's like, it's good. It's good. And, they just go on with their day. Magnum keeps on showing around the base, and, they reach his room. Even though it's a bit messy, he cracks a very nice smile at this. Because, this is his own room. Finally, his own room. He doesn't have to share with anyone. So, he's excited to clean it up, make sure it's all clean and neat, so that he could finally have his own room all to himself. And that's what happens. Next day, Asta's going around the base, and he wants to go to the bathroom, right? And then he's about to open the door, but then he senses Yami in there. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I shouldn't do this to myself, should I?" So he decides to go outside. He takes a leak. While taking a leak, he feels a magic power. So he's like, I'll check that out later. Finishes taking a leak, pulls up his zipper, and starts walking with his magic power, or energy, whatever. And then there he sees Noelle practicing her magic, and this is when Asta sees that Noelle has hit everywhere besides the target, and then he's like, oh, so that's why she's here. She has no magic control. And then you guys can hear that's the train, but yeah. So then he's still watching, but then Nero comes out of nowhere, bird form. She just rustles some leaves while landing on Asta's head. This is when Noelle turns around and she sees Asta, right? And, she's afraid that Asta's going to start berating her, so she does the logical thing. Well, not really logical, but yeah. She does what she thinks is most logical and tries to shoot a magic blast at him. This is when her magic goes out of control, and it starts to spiral everywhere, and I mean everywhere, right? So, it starts to engulf her in this massive ball of water, and she moves very high in the air towards the black bull's face. Let's go to Yami's point of view right now, or, POV. There, Yami just finished taking, his business in the bathroom. But then he feels a large amount of magic coming outside, right? He goes outside, and so the rest of the black bulls. There they see Noelle in this water bubble, and then, Yami's like, that's a lot of magic. I'm not sure my black hole could fix this. But if only we have someone who could negate magic. This is when, this is when Asta starts walking up, and he's like, hey, Yami, and this is when Yami's like, oh, perfect timing. And, he's like, he just points to the water ball, and then he's like, hey, can you disperse that? Asta's like, yeah, I could. And this is when Yami's like, okay, so do it. And then he's like, surpass your limits. And, saying his regular catchphrase and all that, the quote, the motto. And this is when Asta's like, aye, Captain. So, he just jumps up and he pulls out his Demon Slayer sword from his grimoire, right? And he slashes it like usual, dispersing the water. And he also bridle carries Noelle back down to the floor, instead of, just getting thrown through the portal like cannon. And when they get to the floor, right, Noelle's, expecting, a bunch of berating and all that. But this is when Asta's like, you have a lot of magic power. If you had any control, you'd be near unstoppable. Well, not near unstoppable, right? There'll still be me and, my brother, and then, everyone else starts, complimenting her on her magic. And now, if she really had problems with magic control, she could have just asked. This is when Noelle starts to tear up a bit, saying, really? And then, Asta's like, of course, we're, a Magic Knight team for a reason. We help each other. This is why we're teammates. And Noelle, she just shows a weak smile, tears falling down her eyes a bit. And yeah, time skip next day. While going to the next day, we have, what's it called? Yeah, we have them waking up and eating. And this is when Asta's like, this might be a dumb question, but what does a Magic Knight even do? And this is when, everyone just kind of stops. And, Magnum's like, really? You don't know? And then Asta's like, yeah, I really don't. And this is when Magnus, starts explaining, technically Magic Knights do missions, and do good on these missions, they get a star. And, everyone else starts saying that, he would do great on his first mission and all that. And then, he's happy to do his first mission. This is when, Yami pulls up, still smoking a cigarette, and he's like, hey, kid, I got a mission for you. And, he starts explaining the mission, right? Apparently he has to go to this other village because, he has to go to this other village because, because, they lost a bet. And, the guy was trying to win 1,000 gold in one sitting. And let's just say it, people with a lot on their shoulders are quite strong. So, they now owe the village a favor. So, he's sending them, right? Asta doesn't even complain, right? He's just like, okay, let's go. Magma's like, hey, Noelle, you're coming too. Noelle's like, why? And then she's like, it's your first mission too, come on. And then, that's when they start going. While they reach outside, this is when Magma finally asks this question. She's like, so, where are you guys gonna ride? And, pause, what are you guys gonna ride? And then this is when Asta's like, I can just fly. And then, Noelle's like, I really can't fly. Like, he's like, I obviously can't fly. I can't control my magic yet, idiot. Baka, whatever. And this is when, Magnus starts getting mad. And he's like, you little... Okay, you can just ride with me. And this is when Magma brings out his broomstick, right? Can't remember the name of it, but, it's a pretty good-looking broomstick, not gonna lie. And this is when... Who's the called? Yeah. This is when... Noah doesn't want to ride on that, right? Because he doesn't even want to hold on to Magma. So, this is when Asta's like, hey, I have a simple solution. Because, Finral couldn't teleport them there. So, Asta just goes and he starts to, draw like this sort of line on the floor in a sort of a circle. And then he tells all of them to step in. And then, Noelle's like, Asta, what are you doing? And then this is when Asta's like, oh, you see soon. Then, they all step in a circle. And then, Asta's like, okay, let's see if this works, right? He claps his hands together, and they teleport and they appear just in front of the village. This is the Sochi, I can't even pronounce the dang name of the village. But yeah, the village, the Sochi village. And it's covered in mist. This is when Magnus like, Asta, use your anti-magic to cut through the mist. And because, this mist is obviously magic. And this is when Asta's like, okay, Magnus. He grabs his sword, and then, he starts cutting through everything. When he's done cutting through everything, he gets there, and there he sees ice spikes. Multiple ice spikes. And they seem to be aimed towards civilians that are on the center of the circle. This is when Asta and Magnum rush in, taking care of all the ice spikes. And this is when Asta just turns around, he sees Heath. No, he sees the old guy. And this is when Magnum's like, wait, it can't be. And, the old guy is dying. He isn't dead yet, but he's dying. This is when Asta tells Magnum to go handle them for a bit and, take care of the old guy, right? There he goes. Asta goes to the old guy while Magnum's taking care of them for a bit. And there he sees the old guy's, I'm pretty sure, grandson, right? The grandson's crying. He's like, please, Gramps, you can't be dead. All of that. This is when Asta says, kid, no worries. And he puts his hand over the grandpa, right? The grandpa gets, covered in sort of like green, sort of like spear around him. And he heals all his wounds. Everyone's surprised. He's like, the grandpa's like, thank you so much. And this is when Asta says, hey, it's no biggie. Showing his smile again like usual. And he just walks off to go help Magnum, right? At this point, the huge guy is fine, like, you only bought them around 3 minutes at max. Well, 3 seconds now. Then, he pulls up with his giant ice attack, right? It's about to hit Magma. And, Magma is like, ah, shit, I don't have enough magic for this. But this is when Asta, yeah, I was right. This is when Asta just rushes forward. He just appears in front of Magma, and he just puts his hand out, and he stops. Everyone's surprised. Asta's like, "Hey, you really shouldn't be throwing attacks this big. It's pretty dangerous." This is when he punches the attack, right, shattering it into like a bunch of shards. And this Heap guy's impressed. He's like, "I don't sense any magic." Oh, the black bulls. That makes sense. But how did he destroy my magic? Magic enhancement magic? He's contemplating. But then, while he's contemplating, this is when Asta takes full control of the situation. He runs up, and he goes for a sword slash, right? The guy who is the ice mage, who I'm gonna call Heath because that's his name, Heath, just barely dodges it, and he's like, the black bulls. And this is when Asta says, why are you trying to kill this village? And then this is when he explains his ideology. He's like, you don't know, do you? There are three rings. The capital, the inner ring. No, the inner ring, the middle ring, and the outer ring. People in the outer ring tend to usually have a little magic. So it's kind of like having shit on the floor. Why let the shit stay, let it start to stink? So, I'm just erasing it. And this kind of pisses off Asta, right? Asta gets a flashback, right? And it's, some people complaining about not being able to go to the capital and all that. Asta's kind of confused. Even though he is smart, he just doesn't know the full history of the world just yet. So this is when he asks, he's like, hey, you guys really want to go to the capital? Why don't you guys just go? This is when Noelle just says, oh, you don't get it. People in the outer ring tend to have lower magic than others, right? Even though we all bleed red. And this is when Asta finds his reason. He's like, okay, then I'll just become the Wizard Kings and stop all this discrimination. For the sake of everyone. Even you. And then, Sister Lady's like, thank you, Asta. That's sweet. Flashback ends, right? This is when Asta just turns, because his back was kind of facing towards Heath, just turns to Heath, right? And he starts radiating, he starts radiating some black Air Force One energy. Joking. He starts radiating some cursed energy, right? Kind of mixing his anti-magic into it too, right? No black form yet, but he is kind of, his anti-magic is leaking from him. It's visible, right? And it, this blackish red aura kind of just, with a taint of blue hand, just surrounds him, right? And it's kind of spiking a little bit, right? And let's just say that Heath is having trouble, right? The hair gone cold. Everyone is having trouble breathing. This is when Asta says, I'm gonna kill you. With the regular Gojo smile on his face, right? I'll murder you. That. And let's just say that, he runs up. He barely is able to cast a spell that reduces the friction on the floor, using an ice spell. So, when Asta jammed the sword into him, it wasn't that strong. But it was still pretty strong. This is when Asta teleports behind Heath, because people who have Limitless can teleport behind other people, right? It is possible. That's what happens. He teleports behind Heath, and he knocks Heath into the air. This is when Asta says, Magnum, now. And this is when Magnum pulls up, and he's like, flame magic, flaming prism streak. And this is the one that shoots one fireball that turns into a bunch of other fireballs, right? And this all almost hits Heath, right? Heath just barely is able to cast an ice shield. And this is when Asta appears behind Heath, and he sends him down with the strongest backhand ever. This dude technically got reverse bitch slapped. So he falls to the floor, and he's now knocked out. The other mages are knocked out, because while he knocked Heath into the air, he also was able to take care of the others mages. And the frog mage guy didn't have enough time to use his magic, because he's too fast. And I'm gonna say that Heath did like rain more ice spikes. So the girl who told Noelle to help her did come over, and then this is when Noelle unlocked her new new magic spell, Water Dragon's Cradle, which is a pretty cool spell, not gonna lie. So yeah, after it's done, you know, after it's done, the water just dissipates and it flows on them. After she berates she berates Magnum for being careless, but she herself is careless, right? Asta just pulls up a signature smile, and this is when Magnum uses flame binding on the people, or the intruders, right? Then they start to take care of the casualties and all that. Asta's healing anyone who got hurt, and all of that, right? The grandpa guy apparently, eventually wakes up, and he's like, "Where were they?" And this is when he sees the black bolts, and he's like, "Huh, we were saved. Thank you." And this is when Nero, right? Yeah, Nero. Nero comes out of completely nowhere, or comes from Asta's back, because Asta did feel Nero, and he's like, "Ah, it's you." And this is when Nero just flies off, and he's like, "Oh, you're leaving? Well, that's cool." And this is when Nero goes into a house and grabs a sort of jewel, this being a magic stone. She flies directly back to Asta, and she's about to pick him with it, right? But this is when Asta just takes it out of her mouth, and he's like, "What's this?" And then he sees it's kind of like a pretty fancy crystal, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for her." Well, not really. Well, he doesn't really say it like that. He's like Gojo. He's like, kind of running back to this saying, I'm kind of sorry for her, or it's the burn, whatever. He doesn't know the gender yet. And he just hands it back to the grandpa, but the grandpa's like, "Hey, you can keep it. You deserve it. You saved us." Also, it's kind of my keepsake. I never really found a good reason to sell it away, but seems that you can probably do some good with it. Asta's like, "Hey, shucks, you crackle me up." All of that, thanking them, compliments. This is when, villagers go back. And this is when Asta is getting ready with Magnum to interrogate them. Or, the villagers. Not villagers. The mages. This is when Asta feels magic. Then he realizes he's been way too careless. The Heath, the ice magic guy, then pulls off with a suicide spell. It's hard to say, but a suicide spell called Ice Magic Chronogenic Suspension, right? And it's suspended in the air. Then when it falls, it shatters, and they die. And this is when Asta's like, this is when Noelle's covering her mouth, stopping herself from puking. Magnum just he's in disbelief, and Asta's just kind of numb, right? He's not showing any expression, right? But in his head, a million things are going over. It's like, why was I so careless? If I wasn't so careless, I could have stopped them. Well, why? No. This shouldn't have ended like this. A million thoughts going through his head. Plus, with Limitless, right? But he's trying to reject that they're not alive, but they're dead. But Limitless is causing him to face reality that yes, they are dead. And this is technically Asta's first kill, because while he was satoru gojo, and killing was pretty much allowed in Jujutsu Kaisen, this is the Black Clover universe. Don't forget that. So killing isn't as widely spread as usual, and all of that, right? Even if there's discrimination, right? No one else is gonna go around killing everyone, right? So this just kind of makes the reality of life dawn on Asta, right? He gets a flashback of Satoru's first kill too. Not sure what it was, but yeah. And this is when you realize, like, huh, life isn't really all black and white, huh? But then again, that's why I'm going to the Wizard King to stop this all. His resolve for becoming the Wizard King's, solidifying even more. And this is when, oh yeah, guys, I'm sorry to tell you, but I'm sorry for like my my low voice, right? You guys, some of you guys can hear, some of you guys can't hear it, but I'm like a bit sick for one, and two, I haven't drinking any water today, like at all. So yeah, I just really want to get this video out because I feel like I've been scamming you guys. You know, I said I'll do it today, and after I didn't. I said I'll do it 2 days ago. I didn't do it 2 days ago. I said I'd do it yesterday. Didn't do it 2 days. Didn't do it yesterday. So I need to do it today, and I'm gonna make sure it's done today. Right? Remember, the first 2 people to comment a what if down below will. I'll do a what if. But that's a what if that's already on my channel, right? You guys can also start to just suggest what ifs for me to do for my 800 sub special and all that. So yeah. That's nearing the end of the video. It's pretty close, but let me continue. This is when they get back to the Black Bolt's hideout. You know, they talk it through, and they decide that, hey, it is what it is. Yes, that's what's gonna happen. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna end the video off now. I've been recording for a good 20 minutes now, I'm pretty sure. If it's not 20 minutes yet, then I'm just gonna be so pissed. But yeah, thank you so much if you made it this far for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get the 1,000 subscribers before September. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And what can I say except peace out. Also, props to my cousin again. He made my Kakashi's profile pic. And that's, still rambling on, but I'm sorry. Peace out.